Hi, I'm Father Bryan Brooks. I'm the pastor of the Church of St. Benedict here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, to offer today's reflection. And it's taken again from the Office of Readings for the Liturgy of the Hours, which is the kind of the official prayer book of the Church. This comes in a 4-volume set. This is my volume 2 for the Lenten and Easter season, and specifically today is the memorial of St. Pius V. He was Pope in the 16th century who implemented a lot of the reforms of the Council of Trent. He also was a Dominican friar, and it's attributed to him, whether it's correct or not, of the Pope's wearing white, because the Dominicans wear a white habit. So whether he's responsible for that or not, at least he gets tagged for it. So also he was also Pope of a very difficult time in the history of the Church. Did a lot to bring people together, particularly to face different threats that were going on. The Reformation was going on, Muslim expansion into Europe at the same time. And so he wasn't Pope for very long, only for about half a dozen years, but he was one of these guys that seemed to have like the energy of about 10 people plus 2. And he also helped to oversaw the completion of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. So a guy that was not idle at all. A good combination of prayerfulness and also purpose and vision, and in order to proclaim Christ, particularly in difficult times. So today's reflection is not taken from not Pius V, but actually for today for St. Augustine, who was a bishop in North Africa much earlier in the 4th century. And this comes from a treatise on St. John, the Evangelist, by St. Augustine, bishop and doctor of the Church. And it's basically the subtitle is "The Church is Founded upon the Rock which Peter Acknowledged." And good words for us to hear about consolation in misfortune. So St. Augustine writes, "God never ceases to provide the human race with consolation in misfortune. But in addition to these, in the fullness of time, when he himself knew it should be done, he sent his own only begotten Son, through whom he created all things. While remaining God, his Son was to become man, to be the mediator between God and men, the man Jesus Christ. Those who believed in him through baptism were freed from the guilt of all their sins, freed from eternal damnation, to live in faith, hope, and love. On their journey through the trials and dangers of this world, they received the consolation of God, both in body and in spirit. They were to walk in his sight, keeping to the path which Christ made for them. But even while walking on this path, they were not without sin, since it developed subtly out of human weakness. Therefore Christ gave the saving remedy of charity to help them in their prayers, for he taught them to say, 'Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us.' Such is the practice which the Church, in blessed hope, carries out in this life of suffering. Now the Apostle Peter, because of the primacy of his apostleship, stood as a symbol of the entire Church. In himself he was by nature one man, by grace one Christian, by more abundant grace an apostle, and the chief of the apostles. But Christ said to him, 'To you I shall give the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind upon the earth will be bound also in heaven. Whatever you will forgive upon earth will also be forgiven in heaven.' Now these words applied to the entire Church. In this life it is shaken by various trials, as if by rains, floods, and tempests, but it does not fall, because it is founded upon the rock on which Peter received his name. The Lord said, 'Upon this rock I shall build my church,' because Peter had first said, 'You are the Christ, the Son of the living God.' The Lord was also saying, 'I shall build my church upon the rock which you have acknowledged.' For the rock was Christ, and upon this foundation even Peter himself was raised up. Another foundation indeed no one can lay except that which was laid, which is Jesus Christ. The Church, which is founded upon Christ, received from him the keys of the kingdom of heaven, that is, the power of binding and forgiving sins in the person of Peter. Therefore his Church, by loving and following Christ, is set free from evil. But this is even more the case with those who fight in behalf of truth, even to death." So today's reflection also remind you that, or invite you actually, this coming Sunday we'll be live streaming the Mass at 9 a.m. From St. Benedict's, both on our YouTube channel and through via the parish Facebook page, as well as the parish website. And at 12 noon that day, this coming Sunday, invite you to live streaming. I'm going to take you on a tour of the new Adoration Chapel, which we are patiently waiting to be able to use. It's essentially finished, and we're just now waiting for the clear that we can begin to place the Blessed Sacrament in there and begin our time of adoration. So we're looking forward to seeing you on as taking part in part of this live stream, and also looking forward to seeing you again when, hopefully in a few weeks, in this coming month of May, that we will be able to begin to gather again for the offering of public Mass in some form. And that's being worked upon now, and we hope by next Wednesday to have some kind of a timeline and protocols in place to begin to do so. So God bless you as always, and may God keep us all safe.